My friends, today I want to talk to you about something that affects every one of us. We live in a world filled with frustration, misunderstandings, and conflicts. People will say things that hurt us. They will do things that test our patience. Circumstances will arise that make our hearts heavy. But let me tell you today, there is a way to rise above it all. There is a way to walk through life with peace in your heart, no matter what others do or say. The answer is not found in human strength alone, nor in the fleeting wisdom of this world. It is found in a higher calling, a calling to love, to forgive, and to let go of what we cannot control. So how do we do it? How do we live without anger controlling our hearts? How do we stop being bothered by the words and actions of others? Peace is a choice, and it begins with letting go of pride. Many times, when anger rises within us, it is not because of the situation itself, because of how we feel about ourselves in that moment. We want to be right. We want to be respected. We want to be acknowledged. And when we feel that someone has challenged us, dismissed us, or treated us unfairly, our pride is wounded and anger takes hold. But true strength is not found in proving ourselves to others. It is found in the ability to remain calm, to choose peace over the need to win, and to walk away from conflict without letting it disturb the soul. There are moments when words are spoken in a way that cut deep, when people dismiss our feelings, or when circumstances make us feel powerless. The natural response is to defend ourselves, to speak back, to let our emotions rise and take control. But what do we truly gain from this? The more we engage in prideful arguments, the more we allow others to dictate our emotions. We give them power over us. We let their words and actions shape our mood, our thoughts, and even our day. But when we choose peace, when we decide that our inner stability is more valuable than any argument, we take back control. We no longer allow people's negativity to live inside us. Peace does not mean weakness. It does not mean allowing others to walk over us or failing to stand for what is right. It means knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. It means having the wisdom to recognize that some battles are not worth fighting because they steal our joy without bringing any real victory. The strongest people in this world are not those who lash out in anger, but those who remain steady in the face of provocation. They are the ones who have mastered themselves, who have understood that pride is a burden, not a strength. Pride makes us believe that we must always have the last word, that we must always be acknowledged, and that any form of disrespect must be answered with equal force. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if instead of seeing every challenge as a personal attack, we saw it as an opportunity to grow? What if we viewed those moments of tension as a test of our ability to stay calm and centered? When we no longer seek validation from others, when we are no longer controlled by a need to prove ourselves, we become truly free. Choosing peace over pride is a daily practice. It requires self-awareness, patience, and trust that not every moment of offense needs a reaction. It is a way of living that brings lightness to the heart, clarity to the mind, and a sense of purpose that is not shaken by the opinions or actions of others. People who hurt us, frustrate us, or oppose us are often seen as enemies, but the truth is they are not the real source of our struggle. It is easy to believe that if certain people were not in our lives, we would have more peace. We think that if others would stop criticizing, betraying, or mistreating us, then we could be truly happy. But the deeper reality is that conflict does not come from people alone, it comes from within us. The battle is not with them, it is with how we choose to respond, how we perceive their actions, and how we let their words affect us. Every person we encounter is carrying a weight we do not see. Some are struggling with past wounds, others with present fears, and many with insecurities they do not know how to handle. When they lash out, offend, or hurt others, it is often a reflection of their own inner turmoil rather than a deliberate desire to cause harm. If we could look beyond their actions and see their struggles, we would be less likely to take things personally. Instead of reacting with anger, we would begin to respond with patience and understanding. When we view people as enemies, we create unnecessary division. We start to see the world as us versus them, always assuming bad intentions, always ready to defend ourselves. This mindset drains our energy and keeps us trapped in a cycle of resentment. But when we shift our thinking and realize that even those who seem to oppose us are not truly against us, we free ourselves from this heavy burden. Instead of seeing an attack, we see a person in pain. Instead of seeing betrayal, we see someone who is lost in their own struggles. Choosing to believe that people are not our enemies does not mean ignoring the harm they may cause. It does not mean allowing ourselves to be mistreated. It simply means refusing to let bitterness take root in our hearts. It means understanding that our true enemy is not a person, but the anger, hatred, and division that seek to control us. When we recognize this, we can rise above petty conflicts. We can forgive more easily. We can let go of offenses that would otherwise consume us. The strongest people are not those who fight every battle, but those who refuse to be drawn into unnecessary ones. They know that peace is more powerful than retaliation, that understanding is greater than judgment, and that love has the ability to transform even the hardest of hearts. When we stop seeing others as enemies, we find a new kind of strength, one that allows us to remain calm in the face of conflict, to extend grace when it is undeserved, and to walk through life with a heart unburdened by anger. And in doing so, we not only free ourselves, but we also create the possibility for healing, for reconciliation, and for a life that is not defined by the negativity of others. One of the greatest sources of frustration in life is the desire to control things that are beyond our reach. We want people to act a certain way, to treat us with respect, to understand our feelings, and to meet our expectations. We want circumstances to unfold according to our plans, for life to move smoothly without obstacles or disappointments. But no matter how much effort we put into controlling people or situations, the truth remains there is so much that is simply not in our hands. The more we try to control everything, the more frustrated, anxious, and exhausted we become. Letting go of control is not about giving up. It is about finding peace in the reality of what we can and cannot change. When we try to force people to behave the way we want, we only push them further away. When we obsess over outcomes, we rob ourselves of joy in the present moment. But when we release the need to dictate everything around us, we experience a freedom that is far greater than anything control could ever give us. We begin to understand that real power does not come from manipulating circumstances, but from how we choose to respond to them. Many times, our attempts to control others come from fear, the fear of being hurt, the fear of being misunderstood, or the fear of losing something important. We believe that if we can just make others behave a certain way, we can protect ourselves from pain. But the reality is, no matter how much we try, people will still disappoint us. They will still make their own choices, and life will still unfold in ways we did not expect. Holding on tightly does not prevent hardship. It only makes us more anxious when things do not go our way. But when we learn to let go, we discover a deeper kind of strength, one that allows us to remain steady even in uncertainty. Letting go of control also means trusting that things will work out even when we do not have all the answers. It means surrendering the need to fix everything and allowing life to unfold naturally. This does not mean we stop making efforts or that we stop caring. It simply means that we no longer carry the impossible burden of trying to manage everything and everyone around us. We focus instead on what we can control: our own actions, our own thoughts, and our own attitudes. When we finally release the need to control others and circumstances, we experience a peace that cannot be shaken. We no longer feel the need to argue, to force things, or resist what life brings our way. Instead, we embrace patience, flexibility, and trust. We begin to live with a heart that is lighter, a mind that is clearer, and a spirit that is free from the weight of expectations. And in that freedom, we find a deeper, lasting joy that does not depend on everything going exactly the way we planned. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful choices we can make, yet it is also one of the hardest. When someone wrongs us, our natural instinct is to hold on to the hurt, to replay the offense in our minds, and to wait for justice before we consider letting it go. We convince ourselves that if we forgive too soon, we are excusing the behavior, allowing someone to take advantage of us. But the truth is, refusing to forgive does not punish the other person, it only poisons our own hearts. The longer we hold on to anger, the more it controls us. It takes up space in our thoughts, drains our energy, and slowly hardens us from within. Forgiving quickly does not mean ignoring the pain or pretending the hurt never happened. It means choosing to release it before it has a chance to take root in our hearts. When we delay forgiveness, bitterness begins to grow, and bitterness is a heavy burden to carry. It steals our peace, our joy, and even our ability to see life clearly. A single offense can start to shape the way we view others, making us suspicious, defensive, and closed off. But when we forgive, we free ourselves from that prison. We let go of the weight that was never ours to bear. Many people struggle with forgiveness because they believe it requires reconciliation. But forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. Forgiveness is a personal choice to release anger, while reconciliation requires both parties to work together to rebuild trust. There are times when reconciliation is possible and times when it is not, but forgiveness should never be delayed because of someone else's actions. We do not forgive because the person deserves it. We forgive because we refuse to let their actions control us any longer. There is also a mistaken belief that forgiving means forgetting. But true forgiveness does not erase the past. It simply removes the power the past has over us. We may remember what happened, but we no longer allow it to define us or dictate our emotions. Instead of constantly revisiting the pain, we choose to move forward. When we learn to forgive quickly, we begin to experience a new kind of freedom. We are no longer weighed down by old wounds or trapped by resentment. Our hearts remain open, our minds stay clear, and our spirits become lighter. Forgiveness does not change what happened, but it changes how we carry it. It shifts our focus from the pain of the past to the peace of the present. Letting go quickly is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Every time we choose to forgive, we take a step toward a life that is not controlled by anger or bitterness. We embrace peace, healing, and a future that is no longer tied to the weight of what has been done to us. And in that choice, we find the strength to keep moving forward, unburdened and free. The mind is a powerful force shaping our thoughts, emotions, and ultimately our lives. Whatever we allow into our minds takes root and influences how we see the world, how we respond to challenges, and how we treat others. If we constantly fill our minds with negativity, dwelling on anger, bitterness, or fear, those things will define us. But if we choose to fill our minds with goodness, we create a life that is rich with peace, joy, and strength. The thoughts we nurture determine the quality of our lives, and it is within our power to guard what we allow to take residence in our minds. Negativity is everywhere. It comes through the news, social media, gossip, and even casual conversations. It is easy to absorb it without realizing how deeply it affects us. A mind filled with negativity produces frustration, anxiety, and restlessness. We become easily irritated, quick to judge, and slow to show kindness. But when we make a conscious effort to shift our focus to our focus uplifting and pure, we change the entire atmosphere of our inner world. We begin to think with clarity, speak with wisdom, and act with love. Goodness is not just about positive thinking, it is about feeding the mind with truth, wisdom, and things that inspire growth. The books we read, the people we listen to, the conversations we engage, and all of these contribute to the mental environment we create for ourselves. When we fill our minds with uplifting words, hopeful messages, and noble thoughts, our perspective shifts. Problems that once seemed overwhelming become manageable. Worries that used to consume us lose their power. We find ourselves more patient, more understanding, and more at peace with the world around us. The mind is like a garden. If left unattended, weeds of negativity will grow without effort. But when we intentionally plant seeds of goodness through gratitude, faith, learning, and reflection, we cultivate a mental space where joy and wisdom flourish. This does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending that hardships do not exist. It means choosing to focus on solutions rather than problems, on blessings rather than complaints, and on hope rather than despair. One of the greatest ways to fill the mind with goodness is through gratitude. A grateful heart sees beauty in the smallest things. It finds reasons to be thankful even in difficult situations. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. When the mind is filled with gratitude, there is little room for frustration or resentment. Filling the mind with goodness is a daily practice. It requires intentionality, discipline, and a willingness to let go of things that drain our spirit. But as we train our minds to seek the good, to focus on truth, and to embrace wisdom, we experience a transformation. We become stronger, more resilient, and more at peace with ourselves and the world around us. And that in itself is a life well lived. There are times in life when we experience deep injustice. People lie about us, betray us, or take advantage of our kindness. We see corruption, cruelty, and unfairness in the world, and it is easy to wonder if justice will ever be served. The desire for fairness is natural, and when we are wronged, we want to see things made right. But when justice does not come in the way or the timing we expect, frustration and bitterness can take hold. This is why trusting in a higher justice is so important. It allows us to let go of resentment and live with peace even when life seems unfair. Trusting in higher justice means believing that there is a greater order at work even when we cannot see it. It means recognizing that we are not responsible for making everything right in the world. When we take justice into our own hands, we often act out of anger and pain, which can lead to more harm. But when we trust that justice will come in its own time and way, we free ourselves from the burden of revenge and resentment. We let go of the need to control the outcome and instead focus on living with integrity and grace. Justice does not always happen immediately. Sometimes it takes years to see wrongs corrected. And sometimes we may never witness it in our lifetime. But that does not mean justice is absent. The consequences of actions, whether good or bad, eventually unfold. People may seem to get away with wrongdoing, but no one truly escapes the weight of their actions. A guilty conscience, broken relationships, and an unsettled spirit are forms of justice that cannot be avoided. When we hold on to anger, waiting for justice before we allow ourselves to be at peace, we give power to the very thing that hurt us. We let it live in our minds, steal our joy, and dictate our emotions. But when we release the need for immediate justice and trust that all things will be made right in time, we take back control of our lives. We choose peace over bitterness and faith over frustration. Trusting in higher justice does not mean ignoring wrongdoing. It does not mean allowing people to mistreat us without standing up for ourselves. It simply means that after we have done what is right, we let go of the outcome. We do not let our hearts become hardened by anger or consumed by a need for revenge. Instead, we move forward knowing that true justice is not always seen immediately, but it is always present. When we trust in a higher justice, we live with a lighter heart. We do not waste our energy on hatred or spend our days waiting for wrongs to be corrected. Instead, we focus on doing what is right, on being kind, and on living with integrity. And in the end, we find peace not because justice has been served exactly as we wanted, but because we have chosen to trust in something greater than ourselves. The key to never getting angry or bothered by anyone is not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. When you choose peace over pride, when you see people as individuals struggling just like you, when you let go of control and forgive quickly, you free yourself from the chains of frustration. Fill your mind with goodness. Trust in higher justice. And remind yourself that no one has power over your emotions unless you give it to them. Life will always bring challenges, and people will not always treat you the way you expect. But your inner peace is in your hands. Choose to rise above, to remain steady, and to walk through life with a heart unshaken. And when you do, you will find that no one, no matter what they say or do, can disturb the peace that lives within you.